You're listening to the Full Court Press with your host, Drew Duncan. Don't you dare touch that dial.
On the count of three, I want everyone in this arena to scream at the top of your lungs, F*** the Mayweathers. 1, 2, 3.
2017 is officially the year of the roast. The roast sessions have gotten real. Peyton Manning at the ESPYs. I mean, he just let Kevin Durant have it, man. Whew. Anyone can get it. The MVP of the NBA Finals can get it, Kevin Durant.
And our gymnastics team was so dominant that Kevin Durant told me he wants to play for them next year.
Roasted. The Seattle Seahawks from 2 years ago.
There's no pressure. There's no, we'll be on the 1 yard line and I won't give it to Marshawn. I'll throw
Roasted. Even microphones are getting it.
Well then, that mic.
Roasted. Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather are locked in a serious battle of words right now. McGregor has called himself the A side. I think that's obvious. It's obvious who the fan favorite is. But in everything that's like this, though, there's a good guy and there's a bad guy when it comes to the people. Think about the Super Bowl with the Patriots. They basically have been deemed as cheaters, given the Deflategate scandal with Tom Brady, given the Spygate scandals, I should say, with Bill Belichick. People think that their seasons are now tainted no matter what happens. The Atlanta Falcons were revered as the good guys, the team on the come up. You've got Matt Ryan and everything that was going on, but even they were equal opportunity employers for Peyton Manning.
I know they'll stop paying attention 3/4 of the way in.
Roasted. But I think it's obvious that with this Conor McGregor, Money Mayweather tour right now, that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is clearly out of his element. This is just not who he is. I don't think that he feels like this is boxing. I don't think he feels like this is what the sport should come to. McGregor has clearly brought, the WWF/UFC style of fight promoting with him. I mean, this isn't anything new. I mean, we can all remember Muhammad Ali way back when he would just lay into people. Matter of fact, I'll never forget the first fight with him and Sonny Liston when he was still Cassius Clay, wrote a poem about all 12 rounds. If I get him in 6, the fight wasn't fixed. If I get him in 7, I send him to heaven. I'll never forget watching that as a kid growing up. My dad had the thing on VHS, so he had it was like a whole little documentary thing. That was how Ali sold tickets. He roasted a lot of people. That was why him and Joe Frazier had problems, right? Joe Frazier was there for Muhammad Ali when he was down and out. He gave him money. He helped him out. And he was the only one that would do it. And then he gave him a chance to get back the world heavyweight title. And Frazier felt that Ali said some things that to him would never, ever be in a situation where he could apologize and make amends for it truly. Right or wrong or indifferent, I'm not saying any of those things. I'm just saying that this is the level that it's gotten to. And in Toronto, I think is when we first saw a true glimpse of not only Conor McGregor, but Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather's doing things like apologizing to Dana White. And I'm pretty sure it probably had something to do with the $25 million deal and talked about how Dana White used to carry his bags. And I'm pretty sure that, Mayweather was upset because that was the role that Dana White supposedly used to play, was carrying the bags of Floyd Mayweather Jr. But I just think this whole thing, to me, honestly, I don't want to say out of control, because it is entertaining. I mean, I'm sitting there watching this and I'm getting hype. But I'm just wondering if this is the future of all sports. If maybe the WWF created a monster a long time ago with their promos that they wouldn't be able to contain. Hulk Hogan was one of the first truly recognizable faces in terms of roast sessions. Ric Flair, man, he used to talk about all the money that he had. I mean, this is nothing new. You've got McGregor doing basically what Ric Flair used to do, just on a far more intense level is all. He's always talking about money. He's always dressing in suits. Did you see where Floyd Mayweather grabbed the Irish flag? It looked to me like, I'm not a lip reader, but it looked to me like Mayweather was telling the guy, like, no, I'm going to give it to McGregor. It's okay. Just let me have it. Just let me have it. And he took it and he wrapped it around him. And then McGregor grabbed this bag of money and he looked at it and he couldn't believe it. And he pulled it out in one hand. He's like, there's only $5,000 in here. I'm not a rich man by any standards. Don't get me wrong. I wish I had the ability to just carry around $5,000 in a backpack for no reason. But I'm just saying, compared to the type of money that Mayweather's always saying that he's making, and everybody's always flying around that he's the highest paid athlete once again. Hey. But roast sessions are nothing new. I mean, folks, this is it. This is the fight game now. These guys are not running for political office. They're getting ready to beat the hell out of each other. But Mayweather's clearly out of his element. I will say this. Mayweather's had the opportunity to kind of, I think, get some things off of his chest. The things that he said to the audience, especially while in Toronto. You know, you guys are telling me, basically what he's saying is, you guys are all telling me about this guy McGregor. I've never even lost a fight. What makes you think he's better than I am? I think Mayweather respects all forms of combat sports. And some of the things that Mayweather's done for combat sports, I don't think that people fully understand. Look, the steroid testing things that he's talked about, I've always been on his side of. He's all about guys living good, healthy, long lives so that way they can enjoy their money long after their fighting days are over. Mayweather has said things like, I have done things on my terms and I've walked away with $300 million. I can't be mad at him for those things. But he's definitely out of his element. He just keeps, saying the B word over and over again. And it's just like he's trying too hard. And the crazy part about it for me is when I was watching all this go down, after everything was all said and done and Mayweather was cracking on the audience and yelling at them and telling them that this guy's not as good as me and you all can't fight for him and the fans don't win the fight. At the end of it, he goes, thanks, Toronto. I love you. Really? One minute he's got the American colors on. The next minute he's got Toronto colors on. I mean, he's just really trying a little too hard, I think. And I think that that's what's throwing people off. I think that if Mayweather was just his normal, soft-spoken, calm self, he would be more in his element. And I think it would make him feel better. And I think that to the majority of the people right now, it's making it look like McGregor is in his head. I really honestly didn't know that it was possible, but now I think to me clearly it is. I think clearly we are seeing Conor McGregor in the head of Floyd Mayweather Jr. He just doesn't know what to do. This is not his setting. Mayweather needs to be able to train. He needs to be able to go to the drawing board. He needs to be able to study, work on his defense, his footwork. And then a few days leading up to the fight, do a couple of promos and call it good. do a couple of interviews here and there, everything on his own time. This is not his own time right now. This is something that McGregor's used to. He's used to this style. He's used to this setting. I've been training for a few months. I've been getting ready for this fight. I'm going to take a week here. I'm going to promote the hell out of this thing, and then I'm going to go and have another fight. One way or another, McGregor understands how to get this done. And if you want to ask me for a case in point, it's the very first Roberto Duran Sugar Ray fight. Roberto got in the head of Sugar Ray. All there was to it. He said some disparaging things about his wife that I can't say that I agree with, but he did it. It worked. And he made him come to him and fight him because he was that ticked off. I said before that in order for somebody to beat Mayweather, they're going to have to figure out a way to get in his mind and make him come and fight him. Hell, I remember a couple of years ago when I was talking about the Pacquiao fight. Back then I did a show with a good friend of mine, Keisha Walker. And he said, what would you do? I said, honestly, if I was Manny Pacquiao, I would go into a corner and I would stand there and I would wait. I would make him come at me. You already backed into a wall. Yeah, I know that. But it's risk reward, man. Because if you just stand there and he doesn't approach you, the fans are going to get loud enough to where he's going to have to walk up on you. And he's going to have to stay there. That would have been my approach. Whether or not it would have worked, whether or not it's smart, hell, man, I don't really know. I guess you could say I kind of took it from Muhammad Ali, the rope-a-dope, knowing that Foreman was going to approach him, just leaned himself in a situation where he couldn't be knocked down. If he took a hard enough shot, he wouldn't go down. He'd be against the ropes because he was too big to get flipped over. He would have had to drop straight down, and he used Foreman and the ropes as an anchor for his body. Took a lot of abuse, and it was a big risk, but he came out on top. I think what we're seeing right now with McGregor and Mayweather is I think McGregor is trying to hammer him to the point, and I think he's playing to the audience so that way Mayweather could feel even more secure about what's going on and feel like he absolutely, positively has to prove himself. People think he came out of retirement for money. I don't think he came out of retirement because of his alleged issues with tax problems. I think he came out of retirement because he feels like the fans and McGregor forced his hand, that he's got to prove something. That's what I really think. Even if Mayweather were to come out and say, look, man, I'm doing this because I'm in debt with the IRS and I really need this big payday and I've got to take care of my issues. A guy who allegedly made $300 million in his, $23 million, if I remember correctly. Don't take me to the bank on it, in debt with the IRS. Shouldn't you be able to pay that off, bro? Like I said, don't quote me on that number, but I'm just saying. It's just so obvious. Now, I know that Mayweather's done a couple of things now. The flag thing, the tap out thing, he's had a couple of moments in there. I think a lot of people view McGregor as a guy who's just flat out your man's man and is tough as hell and fights quote unquote real fights. I'm not saying that, but I think that that's the census right now. Mayweather's just never been a guy of the people. To his credit, though, I don't think a lot of people really know where Mayweather's coming from. When he apologized to Dana White, to him, that was saying something. And it did take guts for him to do that in front of all those people, knowing that everybody already didn't like him. He talks about longevity, and everybody, I guess, just decides that longevity shouldn't be a thing. But if a report on CTE were to come out for boxing, though, I'd be willing to bet money everybody would jump all over it. And go, see, this is why boxing is such a violent sport. Meanwhile, Mayweather was trying to educate people on how to not damage their bodies and take all that abuse. It's catch-22, isn't it? When it really shouldn't be. But it is fighting, it is the game, and that's what you get yourself involved with. And I think maybe to a lot of people, that's how they view it. Bro, you know what you're getting yourself into when you step into that ring. It's a dangerous sport. People do die in the ring, folks. It's rare, but it does happen. It is protect yourself at all times. Those are the rules. And those are the rules for a reason. But as far as the actual fight goes, who the hell knows? What we do know is that Conor McGregor has the entire world putty in his hands, man. Putty in his hands.
You've been listening to the official Full Court Press podcast, hosted by myself, Drew Duncan. Don't forget, you can always find me on Twitter. That's at DrewDuncan83. Of course, the official Full Court Press podcast is on Facebook. You can also reach me there at DrewDuncan83 as well. For all you Instagrammers, I am on there at DrewDuncan83. Thank you so much for tuning in.